Welcome back to Sunrise. Today we've got Mumuni, who is the Executive Director of SERAP. Thank you for coming on this morning.
It's a pleasure being here.
I assume you listened to Honorable Okorie. Yes. Did anything change for you? Because you previously had written to the Speaker to discard this bill. But having listened to him, what did you glean from that?
You see, what happened was that the bill, as proposed by him, is on the platform of PLAC, Policy, Law and Advocacy Group. Now, the details of what he had proposed is there, and it is that proposal that we have analyzed to come to the conclusion that that bill was intended, if it becomes law, to be a law that will be adverse to the corruption anti-corruption goal of this present dispensation.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Now, you see, the only thing that the bill says must be the reason why there shall be no investigation, no prosecution of anybody that had illegally acquired any loot is that provided they invest it in Nigeria.
Now, we took him up on that part, and he said, he didn't say, he said, look, when we call it loot, but professional word for him was income and the likes of those kind of words. So he says, if you're being investigated by any of those agencies, maybe as a CBN may set guidelines, you are excluded from that. So does that still suffice, say, illegal funds?
That argument does not clear the point that we are trying to make. And it is simply that in an era where we have seen that corruption cases are not being properly prosecuted, in an era where we have seen that grand looters of the resources of Nigeria are going away with more or less a slap on the wrist, such bill is not necessary and will not aid the war against corruption.
Give me an example. When you say slap on the wrist, I mean, would you expect, say, someone who loots this country by 100 billion naira and then comes back and say, okay, I looted 100 billion naira, but I've spent 80 billion naira out of it. I have 20 billion naira left. Now, this is what I have.
Do you remember?
Is that person going to go free?
No. Do you remember a case that was done in this Nigeria, where somebody was alleged to have looted pensions fund, and he was asked to pay, I don't know, maybe 75,000 naira or 150,000 naira.
750,000 naira, I think.
750,000 naira, and the man just walked into the boot of the car, paid 750,000 naira, and the man was said to have looted billions of naira. So those are the things that I call a slap on the wrist. You understand?
So that's what you see this bill as?
This is even more disadvantageous than what we have seen. It will encourage impunity of looters, grand looters of the economy. That's the point you are making.
Oh. You know, because we're trying to understand him too, because I was trying to find out, look, why would people be asked to pay tax on maybe if you're being investigated for having acquired wealth illegally? Because one would have thought, look, if you're found guilty, forfeit all the money to the federal government. Federal government can invest the money or use it to fund the budget if they want.
That should be the correct position if we are indeed serious about the war against corruption. How will you say nobody can query them, nobody can investigate them, nobody can ask them the source of their looted fund or whatever? It's like encouraging impunity and immunity. And you see, that would be contrary to the obligation Nigeria has signed for and signed to under United Nations Convention Against Corruption.
Do you think there are people who are interested in returning the monies they stole from Nigeria? Because the country is really in a bad state now and they just want to return that money.
I don't know their mind. But my own position has always been, if there are laws that have been made, they must be strictly enforced, whether you want to return it willingly or unwillingly. You understand? whatever the law says must be followed. But this type of law must not be allowed to pass, because once it passes, it will encourage continued looting of Nigeria.
But do you take cognizance of what he said about the executive order, yes, about the voluntary, the VADES?
Let me tell you something about the executive order that he's talking about. You see, what the executive order did was, you are supposed to pay tax on declared income that you have earned, but you under-declared. You understand? Or you didn't declare at all. You have now gone back to the tax. That is the opportunity, that's the window that the executive order has created, that you have now decided to declare for the purpose of tax payment. So it says, take a number of months or thereabout, do this declaration so that we get the correct tax from you for the purpose of tax revenue. That is not the bill that the Honorable has proposed.
What he's talking about is, yes, economic, what do you call it?
Amnesty bill.
Amnesty bill. And then you have got the tax amnesty bill. He says that the tax amnesty bill is just a little portion of his proposed economic amnesty bill. The economic amnesty bill, according to him, would have been more effective and gained more traction in recovery of illegally acquired monies out of Nigeria. Don't you think that perhaps he is making some sense to an extent?
No. Unless the bill that I saw against his name is not the bill that he's talking about, as he was speaking just a little while ago. What I saw against his name does not involve what he was talking about at all. It is pure and simply a bill meant to cover those that have looted Nigerian funds. That's the way I see it.
Let's even find out, because I mean, yes, the heading of the one he read was different from what I have,
yes,
here. The one I have here says, a bill for an act to establish a scheme to harness untaxed money for investment purposes and to assure any declarant regarding inquiries and proceedings under Nigerian laws and for other matters connected therewith, and that's sponsored by him. Could it be that this is the same bill, but as a